Welcome to another episode of Thailand Truth Talks. Let's cut through the paradise propaganda right now. After exposing how Thailand systematically crushes British and Australian retirees, it's time we talk about Canadians. And here's the plot twist nobody saw coming. Canadians actually have it better. Not good, just better. Better than the absolute nightmare facing Brits and Aussies. But don't break out the champagne yet, because better doesn't mean easy. And it definitely doesn't mean Thailand actually wants you here. Let's be blunt. After tearing into the British and Australian retiree disasters, you might expect Canadians to be safe. The truth is darker and subtler. Canadian retirees enjoy a legal advantage that many others don't. But that advantage doesn't immunize you from Thailand's new immigration squeeze. This episode is about the fine print, why better is not the same as safe, and why moving here could still destroy your retirement. Thailand has spent literal decades selling itself as the ultimate retirement dream for foreigners. Endless sunshine, dirt cheap living costs, smiling locals ready to serve your every need. But here's what they conveniently forget to mention in those glossy brochures. Thailand is systematically weeding out middle-class and working-class expats from every single Western nation. If you're a Canadian senior thinking about making the move, you absolutely need to understand where you stand in Thailand's pecking order. The doors are slamming shut. The rules are getting absolutely vicious. And while Canadians have better legal protections than Brits or Aussies, the welcome mat is still being violently jacked away. This isn't speculation or a conspiracy theory. This is cold, hard, documented fact, backed by official policy documents, legal experts, and absolutely heartbreaking stories from people living this nightmare on the ground. Buckle up tight, because the realities of retiring to Thailand as a Canadian is far more complicated and dangerous than anyone wants to admit. Numbers matter. Roughly 10,000 Canadians live in Thailand, while hundreds of thousands visit yearly. That gap is the headline. People will vacation in Thailand. Far fewer choose to live here long term. That thin, scattered community is the single biggest practical vulnerability for any Canadian considering a move. Fewer compatriots, fewer support networks, and less political leverage when policy shifts hit. Official counts don't agree, but the disagreement tells a story. Thailand's diplomatic pages and some embassy notes estimate that, as mentioned before, around 10,000 Canadians live in the kingdom. Other Canadian government pages put the figure higher, estimates up to around 18,000. That spread isn't just a trivia point. It reflects how fluid, unofficial, and politically invisible the Canadian community is, which makes it easier for policy shifts to hit quietly and make it harder for Canadians to mobilize when things go wrong. Compare that tiny 10,000 to the tens of thousands of British expats who've been here for decades, or the rapidly growing Australian community, and you start seeing the disturbing pattern emerge. Canadians are cautious, maybe too cautious, or maybe, just maybe, Canadians know something the tourism boards don't want you to find out. The Canadian expat community in Thailand is absolutely tiny and completely scattered across the country. You're not going to find the kind of support network you get retiring to Florida or Mexico, where hundreds of thousands of Canadians is clustered together, where entire neighborhoods speak French or English, where Canadian restaurants and Tim Hortons line every single street. Here in Thailand, you're completely on your own. Most Thai people outside Bangkok speak minimal to zero English. Thailand ranks 106 out of 116 countries worldwide for English proficiency. That's shockingly low. Even French, Canada's other official language, is virtually non-existent anywhere in the country. You'll be navigating a hostile foreign bureaucracy that genuinely doesn't care about accommodating you in a language you probably don't speak at all, with almost no fellow Canadians anywhere nearby to help you figure out when things inevitably go wrong. And here's the thing that should absolutely terrify you if you're considering this move. Those 10,000 Canadians currently living in Thailand aren't all retirees living in the dream. Many are younger expats, English teachers, business people, digital nomads, or spouses of Thai nationals. The actual number of Canadian retirees actively living in the retirement dream in Thailand, probably half that number, maybe even less. When you arrive expecting community, you won't find thriving Canadian retirement communities with organized activities and familiar faces. You'll find crushing, soul-destroying isolation. Let's talk about the massive elephant in the room that tourism agencies desperately want to ignore. Actually getting permission to stay here legally. Sure, Canada has a 60-day visa exemption deal with Thailand, and the tourism authority absolutely loves to brag about it in their marketing material. But that's a classic bait and switch operation. 60 days is exclusively for tourists visiting temples and beaches. If you want to retire here permanently and build an actual life, you're entering the exact same bureaucratic hell that's currently breaking British and Australian retirees into pieces. The retirement visa is a financial gauntlet. To qualify, you must be 50 years old and either hold $800,000 in a Thai bank account left untouched for a set period, or show 65,000 baht a month income, or a combination that equals the deposit threshold. These aren't suggestions. They're enforced documentary hurdles. For most Canadians living off CPP or OAS, those numbers simply don't line up. And immigration officers who check bank histories now work with a zero tolerance mindset. And if you think the LTR or elite options are a safety valve, think again. They're the opposite of a solution for ordinary retirees. Thailand's long-term resident and elite offerings explicitly privilege wealth. Official LTR outlines show preferential tax and residency perks, but require very high income or assets or major local investment, while elite memberships are essentially paid admissions to residency privileges. In short, the government has created a two-tier system, a modest set of restrictive retirement rules for the many, and expensive fast lanes reserved for the very rich. If you're living exclusively on CPP and OAS payments alone, you're looking at roughly 1,500 to maybe 2,000 Canadian dollars per month maximum. That doesn't even come close to hitting their threshold. You'll desperately need private pensions, substantial RRSP withdrawals, or significant saving accounts to qualify at all. The average Canadian retiree scraping by on government benefits, they're going to struggle massively to meet these increasingly harsh numbers. And the nightmare doesn't stop here. Not even close. You also need mandatory health insurance with very specific requirements. Not just any random travel insurance you can buy online. Thai government-approved coverage with minimal inpatient benefits of 400,000 baht and outpatient coverage of 40,000 baht. For Canadians over 60 years old with pre-existing medical conditions, finding this specific insurance is an absolute nightmare that can take months. When you finally do find a company willing to take your money, you're looking at 1,500 Canadian dollars per year minimum, often significantly much more. And guess what they don't tell you? Many policies specifically exclude the exact things you'll probably need as you age: cancer treatment, serious heart conditions, chronic illness management, emergency surgery. You're basically paying absolutely huge premiums for coverage that might completely abandon you the second you actually need it the most. Visa rules force you to buy Thai-compliant health insurance, and that's where dreams die. Policies that meet visa minimums often exclude late-life illnesses and pre-existing conditions. Comprehensive plans for seniors cost thousands annually. The result? Either you pay huge premiums for limited coverage, or you risk catastrophic bills that will erase any cost of living advantage. That's the brutal arithmetic tourist brochures never show. But wait, there's actually more bad news. Thailand introduced the fancy long-term resident visa back in 2022. Sounds absolutely great, right? 10 whole years of residence with no hassle or stress. Except this visa is explicitly designed for the ultra-rich. The wealthy pensioner category requires either an $80,000 annual pension or a minimum of $40,000 yearly income plus a $250,000 investment directly in Thailand. Let me repeat that shocking number so it sinks in. $250,000 invested in Thailand just to get approved. This isn't a retirement visa for normal people. This is just to prove that you're wealthy enough to qualify for the visa. The message Thailand sends is absolutely unmistakable. Only millionaires deserve an easy path to residency, and Canadians face the exact same impossible barrier as everyone else trying to get in. Thailand's long-term resident and elite routes are effectively invites for the wealthy. The LTR's wealthy pension category and elite memberships demand six-figure wealth for multi-year pensions plus local investment. Thresholds that are price barriers, not policy options. Translation: if you aren't wealthy enough to buy an easy life here, Thailand will keep you on the treadmill of renewals and scrutiny. And just when you think you've somehow cleared the brutal visa hurdle after months of stress, here comes the enforcement crackdown. In 2025, immigration raids have absolutely exploded across Thailand. Tourist islands, expat hotspots, even Bangkok neighborhoods that used to be safe. Nobody's safe anymore. Immigration officials are aggressively hunting down anyone who overstays by even a single day, uses fake documents, or abuses visa exemptions with repeated border runs. The 90-day address report and annual visa check-ins that used to be loosely enforced with understanding, now they're checking absolutely everything with a microscope and zero tolerance. Miss your 90-day report by a few days? That used to get a warning or small fine. Now, it can get you arrested and thrown into detention. Enforcement has gone from lax to punitive. In 2024 to 2025, immigration sweeps and island raids showed officials are actively hunting overstayers, repeat visa runners, and anyone who faked bank statements. Authorities now check transaction histories, TM30 and 90-day records, and even small inconsistencies can trigger detention or deportation. The new reality: one paperwork slip or temporary loan to meet the bank threshold can cost you your visa and your life in Thailand. The Thai government openly frames this as a necessary anti-fraud campaign protecting national security. They've raided multiple companies that rent temporary money into clients' accounts to fake the 800,000 baht requirement. Immigration officers now scrutinize your complete bank transaction history going back many months looking for inconsistencies. If those funds weren't genuine, permanently yours, if you borrowed money from family members to meet the threshold temporarily just to qualify, your visa gets immediately revoked and you're potentially facing deportation. Even completely honest retirees who did everything correctly are absolutely terrified because one simple paperwork mistake, one tiny technical violation nobody explained to you, and you could lose literally everything overnight. This is the harsh new reality facing everyone. Thailand has deliberately built a brutal barrier course specifically designed to keep out anyone they deem financially unqualified or undesirable. And their definition of qualified keeps getting narrower, more expensive, and more punishing with each passing year. It doesn't matter if you're Canadian, British, Australian, or American. The squeeze is completely universal. The crackdown doesn't discriminate based on passport color. Now let's talk about money. and taxation. And this is genuinely where Canadian retirees finally catch a real break compared to their suffering British and Australian counterparts. There is genuinely good news here, and you absolutely need to understand it clearly because this tax advantage is your only lifeline in this mess. The one bright line. The Canada-Thailand Tax Treaty. Article 18 shields Canadian pension income, CPP, OAS, most employer pensions, and many RRSP distributions from Thai taxation, meaning your pension checks are, in principle, safe from Thai tax collectors. That single treaty clause is why many Canadians consider Thailand viable. Your pension income can arrive tax-free in Thailand if it qualifies under the treaty's rules. That treaty lifeline has limits you must not ignore. While Article 18 shields many Canadian pension streams from Thai tax, recent Thai rules on foreign-sourced income remitted to Thailand, plus the blunt reality that Guaranteed Income Supplement (GIS) payments stop if you're out of Canada more than 6 months, create lethal edge cases. Sell investments, remit proceeds the same year, or depend on GIS and your budget can collapse. In short, treaty protection does not equal full immunity. Plan timing, documentation, and backup cash like your life depends on it. This is where Canada beats the UK and Australia hands down without question. British retirees, the government pensions are fully taxable in Thailand if they become Thai tax residents. Australia, exact same story. Their superannuation accounts and age pensions get aggressively hit by Thai tax authorities demanding payment. But Canadians, completely protected by treaty. Your pension money flows directly into Thailand, completely tax-free as long as it qualifies as legitimate pension income under the treaty definition. This is not a small advantage we're talking about. This is potentially thousands upon thousands of dollars per year staying in your pocket instead of going to Thai tax collectors. If you're bringing in 3,000 Canadian dollars monthly in pension income, that's $36,000 annually that Thailand cannot legally touch. Meanwhile, British and Australian retirees with similar pension amounts are filing complicated Thai tax returns, paying expensive Thai accountants, and losing substantial chunks of their retirement income to a foreign government that provides them basically nothing in return. Hold on to this advantage tightly because literally everything else gets complicated extremely fast. Here's the massive catch, and it's a really big one that destroys many retirement plans. The treaty only protects pensions specifically. If you have any other income sources like rental properties back in Canada, investment capital gains, stock dividends, Thailand absolutely wants their piece. Let's say you sell a property in Canada and transfer the capital gains proceeds into Thailand the same tax year. Thai tax law explicitly considers that assessable income subject to taxation. Your dividend income from Canadian stocks, Canada takes a 15% withholding tax under the treaty first, but if you bring that remaining money into Thailand, you might owe even more Thai tax on top of the Canadian tax. Yes, you can theoretically claim foreign tax credits to offset double taxation, but now you're filing complicated Thai tax returns annually, keeping meticulous records in a foreign language you don't speak, and hiring expensive bilingual accountants who charge hundreds of dollars per filing. The catch? Only pensions are broadly protected. Capital gains, rents, dividends, and other overseas income can be taxable in Thailand, especially under recent rules about remitted foreign income. Worse, low-income supports like GIS stop after extended stays abroad, so retiring overseas can mean losing crucial top-ups that made your budget work. In short, pension income is safe. Everything else is a tax and a budgeting minefield. One more absolute gut punch for lower-income retirees, and this one is genuinely brutal. The guaranteed income supplement vanishes completely the moment you leave Canada for more than 6 consecutive months. GIS is explicitly legally only for Canadians actively living in Canada. If you depend heavily on that supplement to make ends meet each month, retiring abroad becomes financially impossible overnight. That income disappears permanently. Old age security continues if you lived in Canada for at least 20 years after turning 18. And it's even inflation adjusted annually. But GIS, gone forever. And for low income Canadian seniors, GIS can mean an extra $1,000 monthly. Lose that critical income, and your entire Thailand retirement budget completely collapses. So, yes, the tax treaty protects pensions beautifully, and that genuinely puts Canada ahead of the UK and Australia significantly. But if your retirement income includes anything beyond a simple pension check, or if you depend on low income supplements to survive, Thailand just became exponentially more complicated and potentially far more expensive. You're better off than a Brit or an Aussie, but you're absolutely not home free. Thailand absolutely loves to boast about its world-class hospitals and modern medical facilities. And to be completely fair, the quality is often genuinely excellent. Canadians consistently report significantly faster service than back home. No waiting 6 months to see a specialist. No endless referrals bouncing between doctors. Walk into Burungrad or Bangkok Hospital and you'll see gleaming facilities, English-speaking doctors with impressive credentials, and cutting-edge medical equipment everywhere. One expat mentioned a 3-day treatment that cost only 60 Canadian dollars in Thailand versus 120 back in Canada. Sounds absolutely amazing, right? Here's what they conveniently don't tell you in their promotional materials. You pay for absolutely everything out of pocket. There is zero government health coverage for expats. Nothing. Every single doctor visit, every prescription medication, every emergency room trip, every diagnostic test, every x-ray comes straight out of your wallet unless you have private insurance coverage. And as we've already established, that mandatory visa-required insurance is extremely expensive, covers significantly less than you'd hope, and gets more expensive every single year as you age. Chronic conditions are what this reality really hurts retirees hard. If you develop heart disease, diabetes, cancer, the big killers, your insurance premiums absolutely skyrocket overnight. Many policies exclude pre-existing conditions entirely from coverage. So you're either paying catastrophic medical bills entirely yourself, or you're paying insane premiums for partial coverage that maxes out after the first major incident. The fantasy of cheap Thai healthcare evaporates extremely fast when you're actually sick and vulnerable, and looking at a 200,000 baht hospital bill that your insurance company refuses to cover because of some fine print exclusion buried in the contract that you didn't understand. Let's get brutally real about daily life in Thailand. Thailand is absolutely not Canada with palm trees and beaches. The cultural gap is absolutely enormous, and it grinds people down mentally in ways you don't expect until you're living it. Thai is the language here, and outside major tourist zones, English proficiency is shockingly, surprisingly low. Remember, Thailand ranks 106 globally in English skills. Government forms are exclusively in Thai only. Bureaucrats speak minimal or zero English. Simple tasks like setting up utilities, dealing with landlords, or renewing your visa require hiring a translator or an expensive agent. One Vietnamese Canadian retiree said it perfectly. I knew we'd struggle with Thai, but I didn't expect every government form to be in Thai only. I didn't expect bank staff to refuse to help me in English, even in Bangkok. I didn't expect to feel completely illiterate in my 70s. If you don't learn the language fluently or hire expensive help constantly, you're perpetually lost and frustrated. And learning Thai at 65 or 70 years old, with a complex tonal system completely foreign to English and French speakers? Good luck with that. The cultural differences cut far deeper than just language barriers. Canadian culture values directness, personal space, gender equality, and individual autonomy. Thai culture is hierarchical, collective, and built entirely around saving face and indirect communication. Social cues that Canadians take for granted, direct eye contact, straightforward disagreement, questioning authority, can be genuinely offensive here. What you think is being honest is seen as rude. What you think is standing up for yourself is seen as aggressive. And then there is the crushing loneliness. The Canadian retiree population in Thailand is tiny and scattered. You're not retiring into a built-in community. There's no Canadian Legion Hall in Chiang Mai, no curling club in Phuket. Your social circle will likely be other expats from various countries with nothing in common except being foreign. Or your Thai spouse's family if you're lucky enough to have one and they accept you. No nearby family from Canada dropping by. No old friends for coffee. No shared cultural touchstones. Holidays like Thanksgiving or Canada Day pass completely unnoticed while everyone celebrates Songkran and Loi Krathong. You're culturally adrift. The CBC doesn't broadcast here. Hockey night in Canada requires a VPN. And waking up in the middle of the night. Tim Hortons doesn't exist. Everything that made you feel Canadian is gone. Retirement is already a vulnerable time mentally. You've lost your career identity. Your daily structure is gone. For many, life purpose disappears. Now take that vulnerability and add crushing loneliness, language barriers, visa stress that keeps you awake at night, health problems with inadequate insurance, and the constant fear of losing your legal status. Add financial pressure as the Canadian dollar weakens. Add the isolation of being thousands of miles from family with no support system. It's a recipe for absolute disaster. Mental health services exist in Thailand, but they're concentrated in Bangkok, and they're expensive. English language counseling is rare. French language counseling is virtually non-existent and is almost never covered by the mandatory visa insurance. There are no formal support systems for struggling expats, no government outreach, no crises hotlines in English, just ad hoc online forums trying to help each other survive. One Canadian retiree wrote, "I worry about friends I made here who have no close family. What happens if one gets sick or hits rock bottom? Who checks on them?" The answer, tragically, is often nobody. They're found days later by landlords looking for rent. Let's stop pretending and face reality. Thai officials can deny it all they want, but the policy direction is crystal clear. Thailand wants exclusively rich foreigners, not regular retirees. It doesn't matter if you're Canadian, British, Australian, or American. If you're not wealthy, you're not wanted. Look at the new visa categories. The long-term resident visa targets millionaires exclusively. The Thailand Elite Visa is a straight-up cash transaction. Pay $30,000 Canadian for the privilege of staying without hassle. Meanwhile, regular retirement visas demand higher financial proof and enforce stricter compliance. The math is simple. Thailand is building a two-tier system, unlimited access for the rich, constant harassment for everyone else. Official rhetoric supports this completely. Thai authorities openly talk about cracking down on bogus retirees and visa-run scammers. Media campaigns encourage citizens to report foreign visa fraud. Immigration briefings obsess over financial eligibility. The subtext is obvious. A retiree's value is measured in baht. If you can't spend big, you're not welcome. Recent enforcement backs this up. In 2025 alone, dozens of foreign residents were detained in island raids for visa violations. The immigration minister publicly called visa fraud a national problem and vowed stricter enforcement. The message is loud and clear. Follow the rules perfectly or get out. So here's the brutal truth Canadian retirees need to hear. Yes, you have it better than British and Australian retirees. Your pensions are protected from Thai taxation. That's a genuine advantage worth thousands of dollars per year. You're not getting double taxed on retirement income. That puts you ahead of most Western retirees in Thailand. But better doesn't mean good. Thailand markets itself as paradise, but the reality is harsh, complicated, and getting worse for everyone who isn't wealthy. The visa system is a financial barrier course designed to exclude middle-class retirees, regardless of nationality. The tax situation, while protective for pensions, is confusing and potentially expensive for other income. Healthcare costs pile up without Canadian provincial coverage. Cultural and language barriers cause daily stress. Mental health risks are real and tragically under-addressed. Your tax treaty won't save you from visa stress. It won't protect you from cultural isolation. It won't prevent insurance companies from denying coverage. It won't stop immigration officers from making your life difficult. It won't bring your family together when you're sick and alone. If you're a Canadian retiree considering Thailand, go in with eyes wide open. This isn't a tropical vacation. It's a bureaucratic battle with high stakes. You'll be far from family, navigating a foreign system in a foreign language, with no safety net if things go wrong. Your pension might be tax protected, and that's huge, but everything else is fair game. Your visa will require constant maintenance and perfect compliance. Your health insurance will be expensive and inadequate. You'll be isolated culturally and socially. For some, it might still be worth it. The weather is nice, the food is good. Life can be cheaper if you budget perfectly and nothing goes wrong. The tax advantage is real, but don't believe the fantasy. Don't trust the brochures. Thailand is not rolling out the welcome mat for regular Canadians. The door is closing. It's closing slower for you than for the Brits and Aussies, but it's still closing. That's the truth they won't tell you in the glossy retirement seminars. That's the reality facing Canadian retirees in Thailand right now. You're better positioned than most, but that's not saying much. And unless something changes dramatically, it's only going to get harder. Welcome to paradise. Now, prove you deserve to stay.